Hey everyone, welcome to the LGBTQ Voice. I'm Tracy Welch alongside Eileen Dugas. Each week we invite guests on the show to talk about resources, events, health and wellness, and what's happening in and around the South Coast LGBTQ plus community. Hey Eileen, how's it going?
Hi, Tracy. My name's Eileen Dugas. I'm the network coordinator for the South Coast LGBTQ plus network. This show is presented by the South Coast LGBTQ plus network. We are a nonprofit organization working with LGBTQ plus groups and allied organizations to build and maintain a comprehensive network for the LGBTQ plus individuals and families in southeastern Massachusetts. For sponsorship opportunities, please contact Leo at newbedfordguide.com. He can help you out with sponsorships. Welcome everyone to the show. Happy Tuesday. Today, Tracy will give us an update on our show focus for the summer. Then we'll talk with our special guest, Peter Walker, Program Director of Third Eye, small business owner and community mentor. Anyone who wants to chat, as always, put your comments in on the Facebook page. Any one of them that you're watching us on, we will see them. We'll chat with you. You have questions for Peter, throw them in the chat as well, and we will make sure we get to them. So, Tracy, let's talk about the updates in the show focus for the summer.
Sure, definitely. So the network formed 6 years ago, and we had 7 LGBTQ agencies and allied organizations. We wanted to create support for LGBTQ plus folks in the South Coast, from youth to elderly. I know, peace out. All nationalities, skin colors, for everyone. We strive to build and maintain a support network, ensuring that LGBTQ plus individuals and families are treated with respect and dignity. So last year, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots. That changed the world forever. The LGBTQ plus communities fought together, and we continue that fight today. So in July, in New Bedford, 70 years ago, so it's the 50th anniversary of the New Bedford riots. So we wanted to kind of do a highlight. I don't want to say highlight. We wanted to invite guests on our show to talk about, focus on solutions, Black Lives Matter, what's going on in the community, how people can be involved, how people can help. So since it was the 50th anniversary of the New Bedford riots, we thought we'd do July and we would do August. So in the next 8 weeks, you'll see people of color, people from our Black community, our Mexican community, I don't say just, but to keep the momentum going and not stopping it. I feel, and again, my opinion, that I strive every day for LGBTQ rights. And under that umbrella, it's Black, it's white, it's Mexican, it's transgender, it's everybody. But I think sometimes that the community stops when everything feels it's okay right now. If we stop what's going on with Black Lives Matter, it's not going to get any better. So as the network, we wanted to make sure that we're invested in the community and people know that we're here for everybody. So if you guys want more information about, you can actually Google it. It's the 50th anniversary of the, I apologize, New Bedford riots. I still have Stonewall in my head. The Standard Times actually did a nice article in the July 5th paper on it. But do your research, guys, and find out what happened 70 years ago, how things have or haven't changed in our community. So with that said, everybody, please welcome Peter Walker to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. Actually, I'm very honored to be here. It's I actually take this as an affirmation of how much I've changed in life. So I'm very honored to be here and be an ally of the network and be a part of everything that's going on that has to do with us pushing humanity forward.
Cool beans. So we know that you're from the Third Eye, and it's actually on your screen, which is great. I wanted to make sure people realized it was the number 3 RD, because people might be checking THIRD, if they're trying to look on Facebook and whatnot. But can you tell us the mission or the vision of Third Eye for those who aren't aware of this organization?
So the mission in itself, well, Third Eye's been around since 1998. I actually got involved about 8 years ago, and I was a person who was a part of my transformation. And it's funny because Third Eye's mission statement or mission in itself has been about, activating and transforming people in our community to have a positive impact on others, basically solidifying our village in its own right, and then bringing it out to the world the best that we can. So I believe that I'm living proof as somebody who wasn't necessarily born here, but practice what they preach, for lack of a better term, and actually benefited from the thought process and the engagement and the family camaraderie that they have at the table there. And what's most important is our ability to agree to disagree and have engagement with each other without having disrespect for each other. I think that that's something that's lacking in this time, especially the social media age. So again, I'm blessed to be here and honored to be a part of everything.
Very good.
Thank you for sharing what Third Eye is about in their mission and vision. Can you tell us what programs or services that Third Eye offers?
So we have a lot of different programming. Before everything was crazy, let's talk about pre-COVID. So before COVID, we actually, we used to be in the high schools, and we're actually working to get ourselves back into the high schools with the hip hop club. Changing of the guard, different people working in different positions. So certain programs got weaned out, and as you know, there's a lot of programs that are being taken out of school. We're trying to work our way back in. So the hip hop club is something that we're looking to reincorporate. But right now we have something called 3E Pride that we do monthly, which is a workshop / entertainment style event where basically you come out to enjoy the music, you come out to enjoy live artwork, but at the same time, we're providing you education throughout the duration of that event as well. We also have Doodles Creative Session, which is a program that's every Saturday from 10 to 11. 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's a free program to the community. It's welcoming of all ages. You get to just do free spirited arts and crafts, and you also get the ability to learn yoga as well, as we've added a yoga portion in there. It's ran by my wife, Samia. We have also the Third Eye Open, which is historic. It's huge, historic. And we're actually converting that to a virtual space this year. So we will be having the Third Eye Open. It will be in a virtual space. A lot of people have been asking. This is a great place to let people know in the public. And then we just have other different workshops and things like that going on. Writing workshops, poetry workshops. At the communal space right now, we're partnered with the Third Eye community. We're creating an affordable art gallery. What happens in marginalized communities is that a lot of people want to enjoy art, but they don't understand the business of art. And if you don't have the kind of money to walk in a traditional auction, then you really don't understand that process. So we're creating an affordable art gallery with art that's created by people in the community that volunteered for our events. As you see, we always have live artwork done. And then we create a low cost, low income, sometimes giveaway art for people to enjoy and understand what curating art is like and valuing the arts. Amongst many other aspects. Like we kind of help all kind of other programs if you want to really get deeper.
Well, the Third Eye Open has been amazing downtown. Whenever it's there, it's not like it's like in one little area. It's behind a corner. It's around a thing. You see arts. You see dancing. You see, I call it the graffiti art, the wall art, the spaces. People have like blocked areas where they do their own art all day. And it's just amazing to see the talent that is in New Bedford and the diversity and the ages, of the people that are part of Third Eye. And and Doodles, you had mentioned that Samia, on our Facebook page, we actually highlighted Samia as one of our Pride artists, and you can find that on our website. If you want to donate to that, there's a PayPal for that, but I think it's important that Samia helps out at our Pride, and she was going to do our Kids Zone tent again this year, but we didn't have Pride. But we wanted to make sure that we, paid it forward and said, hey, listen, you know what, we'd like to highlight the youth that you guys have there and the art that they're doing, and I think it's very important to share that in our community. So definitely thank you for that. No,
thank you. It's teamwork. It's about all of us working together.
Yep.
So how have programs been impacted by COVID-19?
That's a great question. So one of the biggest things is that Third Eye is big on interpersonal relationships, meeting in place, dealing with people in a tangible sense and a tactile sense. And it's been tough because a lot of us, it's a family, like it's an organization, but it's really a family. So what we had to do is we had to convert into a virtual space. We're proud that we were we were the first ever program that was awarded the Art is Everywhere grant from the Barr Foundation and TDI Mass Development. And I'm the first ever, thank you, project manager for something like this. So it kind of was already working in unison with what we were doing to work into a virtual space. So we hold our main staples of our 3 programs, which is the 5 pillars of hip hop in partnership with the national parks. Shout out to Jen Smith and shout out to all the staff there that's been holding us down. Niche, so many people. And we also we took the 3E Pride. Basically, everybody's throwing a V in front of everything now. So it's V3E Pride that we do monthly as well. And then we hold the Your New Bedford events, which also there's a Your New Bedford event. If you haven't seen one, there's one this Friday on the 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. That's going to highlight the Denison Community Center. But again, it's just about getting into that virtual workspace and providing the same mental health and mental wellness vibe that we do in our space anyway, and that family vibe. We were worried about how it was going to translate in the beginning, but love is love. It translates through monitors as well. So we've been fortunate in that regard.
Eileen, I guess we have a lot of people that want to say, hey, you want to do a shout out?
Yeah, so it looks like I see Zoe.
Hey, Zoe.
Hi. Douglas says hi. Nicole, how are you? Mandy, hi. Linnell, Walker, hey, family.
Oh,
and Lorianne says nice. Hi, Lorianne. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Cool. So I know you mentioned about the place that's operated downtown. Can you tell us the address and what's going on?
Absolutely.
Are you planning on opening it in like 3 months? Is there like a plan or? Absolutely.
So initially one of the things that I've realized moving to New Bedford is there is somewhat of a stigma about people of color not being welcome downtown from the different communities. And I am of a different ilk. I believe that we don't have to ask permission to be in spaces. We have to get spaces and create them, and I want to give a big, huge shout out before we even get into Union Street to to your community for, buying a building. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we have to do. We have to, go about buying property. How do we combat gentrification? How do we combat these things? We have to take ownership, work together, and pool our resources to buy locations. So actually, it was previously called Levitate Wellness, and there were some people that were in that space, but it didn't really build up the steam that it needed to. So the landlord and the previous tenant of the space, we had a conversation and we worked out a deal that we can use 246 Union Street as a launching pad to create a sense of pride within the people of color in the community, all people really, but the people of color in particular, to give them a welcoming space where they don't feel like they have to necessarily go into the space and conform, but this space is created for them and for people to learn about their culture. So we were working on the grand opening, the renovation, then bam, COVID hit hard. So we just, we did a pause. We took a hiatus for a minute as far as like the physical space. We were providing different things, like we said, an affordable art gallery, workshops, and a co-working space. We're looking to build a Black library. And I only say that in the sense of bringing true history, in the sense of empowerment to our people. And at the same time, we want to have one side be about financial literacy, anything that comes from any authors that are worldly and understand how we can actually fight this plight through education. And then lastly, the main thing is just, again, that's why we named it the communal space, is we want people to understand that Black empowerment is not about taking anything away from anybody else. It's about encouraging, as you guys understand from the community, it's about encouraging equity across the board for everyone. So myself and my friend Tyson, my brother Tyson, worked together and we got that situation all squared away, got the contract signed, and we're working through Third Eye as well, and national parks and all our other partners that are actually encouraging us and empowering us to be in the position to be in that space downtown. It's the only space, you can't miss it, on Union Street that has a Pan-African flag hanging outside. It's red, black, and green. You cannot miss it. And pretty soon we'll have a pretty dope Cape Verdean flag hanging outside as well. And it looks super ethnic, to be honest with you. We got pyramids and books about Egypt and everything in the window. We have a big poster of Breonna Taylor and the countless victims that we're fighting for today. So you can't miss us. And you're welcome to come by anytime once we open back up. But in the meantime, you can check out thirdEyeUnlimited.org and find out all the information about what we have going on in that space.
So when you said your brother Tyson, is that Richard Tyson?
Yes, it is.
He actually, I know he actually just said what's up on our page. He actually came to one of our tea dances, introduced himself to the community. You know, I think it's important. I go to different things and whatnot. I'm like, I'm welcome wagon wherever I go. Welcome wagon, here's Tracy. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? So Richard did come down, introduce himself, and spoke for a couple minutes on stage and just introduced himself to the LGBTQ plus community. I think that's important.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tyson's a good guy. Tyson's, again, if people know, he tried to run for mayor. He's very ambitious. He wants to make change and instill change in the city. Some people can take that could be it could take you back a little bit if you're from the area and you don't understand somebody who's coming into the city and just wants to take charge and try to help push things in the right direction. But I would ask that the city, people throughout New Bedford and the greater area to be welcoming to people who want to add value to your city, not the people that want to come and, tear it down. We're trying to add value to the city.
And when you're talking about your books and your history and whatnot, I don't think kids realize what happened. Eileen and I talked about this on one of our shows, that we went to nativity prep, and the kids were like, well, what do you mean you couldn't get married before? And we're like, yeah, we couldn't. Oh, we always thought you could. So when marriage equality was passed in Massachusetts, the first state, all the newspaper articles that were part of the Marriage Equality Coalition came to our youth center. So when the kids walk into our center, they see all the news articles. When you first walk in, we have a foyer, and it's all up. So the kids are like, wow, really? I'm like, yeah, this is the history, right? This is, at least in our area, what was done for us. Besides, we try to introduce them to other things in history, and especially doing this show, Okay, I mean, I talked enough. Go ahead.
My turn.
Yep.
I can go. So I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to switch gears a little bit, but I want to say hi to Nate first. Hi, Nate. I missed you. I hope things are going well. It's nice to see your little circle face on Facebook. So I hope things are well. So I want to switch a little bit. We started to talk about this a little bit, but so Third Eye is committed to empowering young leaders to positively transform their community. You were just talking about that. How has the current events across the country impacted Third Eye?
So I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm a person of color. And what had happened was we've been about the messaging of unity and equity long before we don't wait for the fire to start. We're doing preventative maintenance. We're trying to keep the fire from starting to begin with. So I always believed in my heart, I came for a little bit of my background. I was a womanizer, all the things that came with the tropes of growing up in the inner city projects of Boston. And I learned, the more I traveled, the more I had more conversations, the more I learned. So the thing is that I have a unique perspective per se, as somebody who came out of gang violence, history of violence, all the things that ailed our community. So I felt a personal obligation to step up during these times and be outside with these youth, because I started to notice that it was the youth leading the charge with a lot of these protests that we see. And it was a little disturbing to me that we didn't see enough elders out there who say they have the knowledge and they're always talking to these kids about their generation and judging their generation, to not be out there actually trying to help them move in the right direction and maneuver in the right way. So I really want to say my heroes and part of this process really was all the young women of color, men of color, LGBTQ community members, and so on, that are a new generation. They don't really have the same stigmas that we grew up with. And a lot of the stigmas that these kids deal with, whether it be from racism to homophobia, whatever, are things that we pass on. This is not something that's born in us. So again, these kids are my heroes, and that's what got us going out there. And then it just kind of lit a fire under everybody in our crew. And the next thing you know, we had everybody out there. It's not for show. It's for change. And we're doing the best that we can to not get in the way of the youth who led the charge, but just more so be mentors and guide them in the right direction during these times.
Well, we talked about that when we first started we took over Pride from South Coast Equality. We were trying to get some of the elders in the community from the Fairhaven Council on Aging, and I understand where they're coming from. They're like, well, we fought our fight, right? We're done. And then they've met some of our kids, some of the youth in the community, are like, our work isn't done. It's not done. It's not done until everybody's safe and everybody's cared for and everybody's got the same rights. And they realize it. So every Pride we have people from Fairhaven Council on Aging that volunteer at our Pride every year. Mm-hmm. We have this conversation. We're like, hey, listen, would you like to come on the show? We did a show where we had 2 elders and 2 youth answering questions out of a hat. What does this mean to you? And so I think, like you said, let these kids charge, but do it with dignity, I guess. Respect, understanding, and education.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to mention that, like you said earlier, Tracy, some of the younger children that we have spoke with didn't know that, same-sex marriage was illegal at one point. And I'm assuming that it's important for your community as well as the LGBTQ community to share the history, share the challenges, share the progress, share the setbacks, because if we don't share that, I know our elders like to be called mature, not elders. Our mature community doesn't share that. How do we expect the younger generation to really have that history that's not out of a textbook?
What's really hard, as I've been learning, again, I've been doing the best I can to educate myself about our history I can, but you know, they say history is written by the renters and in the patriarchal system that we're in. And it's a problem because much of American Black history, let alone African Black history, has been stolen from us. And you have to be able to discern the information that you're taking in as well, because you also have programs such as COINTELPRO that a lot of the general public is not aware of, that worked and subverted a lot of the organizations that were trying to empower us, such as the Panthers, etc., and twisted our information and twisted our perspective of our leaders. It also gave us, it created a bigger divide because we spend more time picking apart our leaders and not understanding that whether or not your leader is the leader of whatever they are or not, they're still human beings. People have flaws. People have character flaws, all of that. No one's, you know, perfect in that regard. So we have to be careful about the information that's why I vet everything. Yeah. And I also believe in reading the things that I'm not necessarily comfortable with as well. We have to be okay with, you know, people ask me, why would I have a conversation with someone who might be perceived as racist? Because I want to know what makes that person tick. I want to understand what nuances happen in their life, because I can relate back to myself of growing up in the projects and what made me not want to deal with any white people, what made me, what the stigma was with us in the gay community or the community at large. What was that? And if we don't have those tough conversations, we're really not getting anywhere. I've learned much more by talking to people that I would necessarily disagree with than I have just being in my own bubble. Sometimes our own bubble create biases that can be similar to the things that we don't want to see in the world. So I think that education is extremely important, but we have to understand that the African-American education has been stripped away, and we really have to do a better job. If we can keep saying education, what education? What are we talking about? We have to get to the root of, we have to restructure the puzzle pieces together in order to provide a quality education to African Americans to inspire them in the proper context.
Well, Eileen, I'm going to take Vanessa's said something. I'll have you do Anthony. So Vanessa wants to do like rainbow stickers for welcoming businesses downtown. So I'm real honest. In our community, somebody went to see if they wanted to do an ad on the Bedford Guide, and the person had a rainbow flag out front, and the person was not gay friendly. So what the network is working on last year for Pride and everything that we did, the network went to all the businesses and said, would you like to put a rainbow flag up, and we'll pay for it. So what we want to try and do is we're working on it. And again, if you guys want to volunteer, hit our website up. We're looking for volunteers that we want to check out the businesses and see if they are LGBT friendly and have a network logo approved by the network. Yes, we feel this is a welcoming space, you know, and that's going to take time. Each step that we're working on has basically been the handful of people for the last 6 years. So when you got a handful of people and, you know, 90,000 people in New Bedford, 10% are gay, you know, why can't those 9,000 people help us, right? So Vanessa, we are working on that. We would love to be AAA approved, or we're going to say we're gay approved. Whatever that logo happens to be, we are working on that, Vanessa. Eileen?
I want to touch base on that as well. I think it's really important before we go and put that sticker on a business or an organization in our community or any community, right? We want to make sure that we're saying, okay, I've experienced this, I know this is okay. Just to say that someone is LGBTQ friendly doesn't mean they have the knowledge or skills to be welcoming once someone walks into their establishment. So they may be welcoming, they may be accepting, and then you step foot inside and all of a sudden you're unintentionally offended, right? So I think we really need to be careful about, you know, putting a sticker on the door and we're not sure. We haven't provided training or support that business organization needs to be successful. So thank you, Tracy, for bringing that up.
So, Eileen, before you go on to Anthony, Vanessa just answered the Philly rainbow includes the black and brown stripe. So it's inclusive for the black community. So my biggest thing is, and I'm speaking for me only, where's the white stripe in the rainbow flag? The rainbow flag was for hope and unity for everybody. So there isn't a white flag. There isn't a white strip. There isn't a black strip. There isn't a brown strip. So I know the new flag has the trans colors, the black, the brown, and then the rainbow. However it proceeds, so be it. But in my experience, it's never been a white person's rainbow flag. So, all right, Eileen, you're up.
Okay. Anthony says, I think what would be great is if in the Black library space you're talking about, there be either literature or at least maybe something there informing people about Black Americans that got buried in American history. For example, the Taylor Hercules mentioned in the play Hamilton had a slave who also did spy work with Hercules for the American Revolution. Sadly, there is little mention in the history books on what he has done specifically or what happened to him.
Well, I guess for Peter, let's just say I just said, hey, join our website, hit the volunteer link, and help us. Are you guys looking for volunteers to help you guys out? What does that look like for you guys?
I mean, we're always, the thing is like it's we have personal relationships with like Nicole, Mandy, so many people like that. So yeah. I would always encourage, and I should do it because I don't necessarily I have the VIP line, I should say, to get involved with the community anytime I feel like I need to, or anytime I felt like it's needed for us to be there because I stand with. So, but for the average person or the average watcher right now, like absolutely people should get involved, sign up. You can do the same at the the thirdEyeUnlimited.org page. I always encourage people to sign up. One thing that I have to be it's one of my key strengths here is we have to allow a grace period for anyone because we can't just recruit like minds. We're not changing minds, and that's the problem. We have to be able to allow some grace period for somebody who might be in the gray area of where they stand on things to learn. But if we just hear something ignorant out their mouth out the gate, and then we shun them or shut them out, that actually makes people double down on their biases. We're not helping each other at that point. So I know that words hurt, and I know that words, tear us apart. I've been called all kind of crap, as you can imagine. But I've stayed in the pocket long enough for it to be a teachable learning moment. I might not even get through to that person. I may learn, that every story is not going to be a success story when we're dealing with each other, especially when people come into our ranks, no matter what it is. One of my best friends and my friend Jason Johnson, who I help all the time, he does this music thing, and I met him, and he's one of the people who helped me understand the community more. But one thing that he expressed to me in the community is that I was naive to the fact that there are levels of racism within the community. You know what I mean? And we don't have conversations about this because as a bisexual Black male, he feels shunned a lot from a lot of situations. And I know a lot of Black people that are of the community that feel that way. So how do we have those tough conversations without anybody taking the guilt personally or the onus personally? Remove that weight off your shoulders. Let's have a weightless conversation so we can move forward in all regards. You know what I mean? So I would say, push for volunteerism. But when somebody walks through the door, understand that everybody who walks through the door is not going to have the same level of knowledge that you may have on a particular topic, and allow them some grace to learn.
Absolutely. In Samia Walk, teachable moments are always appreciated and community involvement is always encouraged. So I want to say something about teachable moments. So being a lesbian woman, I have what they call the passing right. I can go into a room, people assume I'm straight, I go on with my day, and no one questions me. But then there's that time in the day when I'm around new people at a conference and someone says, oh, are you married? Yes. What's your husband's name? Teachable moment, right? It happens to me all the time. Like, all the time. I can't even tell you how many times. And at first it made me so uncomfortable with myself when I was younger. Of course, not now. It's not uncomfortable for me anymore. And it really, I expect it. And I provide gentle, kind information to them about, oh, my spouse. Give them language to use that is not offensive. I have thick skin now. Doesn't offend me, but I just use it as a teachable moment, because I think we have habits. We say things that just come to us naturally without any intent, but giving people the language to use that's not offensive to others is so important. So thank you, Samia, for bringing that up.
That's why I married her. That woman, man, let me tell you. I'm telling you. And, I'm glad that you said that, because one of the things that I was dealing with is in my own journey of understanding things is when people said homophobia to me, I looked at the dictionary word and I was like, it always came up to me as like a fear. And I was like, well, I don't fear. But then I realized there are underlaying, the reason why I had some discomfort is because there were underlaying fears. Like, how would this, it's the typical stuff that you would hear. Again, this is when we have the, I'm here to have the conversation. It's the typical stuff you hear, like, how does that affect my child? How does that affect this? How does that affect that? And then I started, once I actually challenged myself on those questions, I realized none of it matters. So I'm in a place in life where it's like, do you, boo? Just don't be an a-hole. That's my thing I say to with Nicole and them all the time. Do you, boo? Just don't be an a-hole. And that's the thing. But I also can say that sometimes the conversation as a Black male, it's getting odd for me because people are putting my Blackness aside for me being a male, which is very interesting in these times. And I'm like, slow down. Because if you look throughout history, Black males have suffered atrocities that people couldn't even imagine. Now, did I have to work on some of my male aspects, those chauvinistic, all of that crap? Did I have to work on that? Absolutely. But don't put me in a space where I can't be an effective ally because you feel like my maleness is before my Blackness, and it's never before my Blackness. We can't lose that in the context. So, again, they're all teachable moments. These are things that I learned from opening myself up and facing what could be perceived as fears to educate myself and be comfortable with having these conversations. There was a point in time, again, coming from the streets where, the derogatory terms that we use, and there's still a lot of it still used in hip hop. A lot of it's still used in hip hop to this day. And we have to work on doing better at that, because we have to be able to treat, first and foremost, I see human beings. I don't really, the rest is just the colorful details of our life. I use this as a funny term because I realized that I read a story about some people in Seattle who decided that they're a group of people and they decided that they swim around the bay in mermaid stuff. And they said they're mermaids. And people ask me what I think about it. And I've reached the point in life where I'm like, I don't care. Exactly. Like, do you, boo? Just don't be an a-hole. You know what I mean? So that's my slogan right now for a lot of stuff. Like, I'm not here to monitor other people's lives. Why are so many of us like that, where we care about other choices that people make instead of just valuing the choices that we make? But at the same time, I don't want it to get so crazy. I feel awkward in some rooms when I'm trying to be an ally, but at the same time, my wife and me are kind of the ones in the room looked at funny. We're here as whatever you want to call it, nuclear, whatever family, whatever you want to call it, but we're here in support of 100,000%. So we have to have these conversations, and we have to have this dialogue. We have to have the understanding of the complexity of being, melanated in the community, non-melanated in the community, how those things tie together, how they help each other, how we can actually learn from each other's weaknesses to build our strengths. So again, I'm just blessed to be here, and I'm blessed that I feel honored truly to be here and have these conversations, because there's more of my brothers and sisters. My friends are not all the way there. And they need to see better representation of people like myself who come from those communities that are brave enough to come on these platforms and talk about these things. I openly admit that there's some things I still don't understand. But the point that I explain that it shows my willingness to understand, and I just need to be educated on it. Like, for example, I talk to Mandy and Nicole all the time. I don't necessarily understand pronouns. I don't. But that doesn't mean I have an issue with them. I just don't understand yet. Yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? But when it started, I would get, like, soon as I say I don't understand, it's like, what? You don't what? I'm like, whoa, slow down. Are you going to teach me, or are you going to yell at me? I'm telling you, I don't understand.
I had kids at a youth center one day said, I'm pan-romantic. And I'm like,
it's all new stuff.
I'm one of the adult advisors for MB Agley, and we have kids ages 14 and 24. I know gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, right? And And then I'm like, so I raised my hand for the group. I said, hey, listen, I need an explanation. That's a new one for me. So now the kids are my teacher.
Yes.
And I just said,
Yes.
thank you. And then now there's like a plethora of them, but I need to learn it. I'm learning every day. Yep. I was a DM for my job and I'm ringing as a cashier. And then one of the customers, oh, you're new here? And I said, yeah. She goes, oh, you're training? I said, ma'am, I'm training every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been with the company for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always in that training or learning mode. But
Same.
Eileen, go ahead.
I wanted to say thank you for your honesty and transparency about things that you're not comfortable with or you don't know about and you want to learn about. And I think that is a huge step for our community as a whole. Saying, I don't know this, I don't understand this, I don't know if I like it or agree with it because I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know why you use those pronouns. I don't know why you use that term. So thank you for that because that really shows a community moving forward for growth and progress and equality. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. Listen, I try to have the toughest conversations we can because that's where the solutions are going to be found. And
that's what our 2 months are, focusing on solutions.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So, Eileen, you want to talk to Peter about his clothing line? We're running out of time. Yep.
Yeah. So we heard your lifestyle brand of apparel was recently featured in Beyonce Presents Making the Gift Lion King documentary 2019. Tell us about that.
Wow. So again, I came to New Bedford in a transitional period of me being on the other side of the ball of hip hop to me understanding my history, learning the foundations and the pillars. And then I started a lifestyle brand basically from that. I Am Still Ill is typically what you see on the back of all of my clothing. As you can see here, I am still ill. The mantra really is as a self-reminder for people to go in the mirror every day. And no matter what your doubts are, ill means in Ebonics, like cool, dope. You know what I mean? Good. So I am still ill, meaning I am still great at whatever I do. So it's a personal mantra that I was using for myself, and so many people gravitated towards it that it just became a thing. And what's interesting is I've sold so many shirts, blessings to be the support that I have, and so many shows I did on the road that I had nothing to do with that. Honestly, I had got a phone call from one of my friends and was like, bro, I just saw your shirt on ABC on Beyonce's documentary. I didn't believe him. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't believe him. Like I've handed shirts to Tech Nine, Jada Kiss, like all kind of rappers and stuff I've dealt with. Method Man, Redman. I got plenty of drops from those guys, but I didn't. Beyonce is a different level. So I didn't believe him at first. I had no idea. And then someone sent me a little clip, and then I went and found the documentary itself, and I was completely blown away that like it made it into that orbit. So the message in that bottle really is for a lot of people is keep going. You know what I mean? You don't know how far your reach really is. And you'll never know if you just stop or you don't push, yourself to a new limits. I mean, even that shirt in particular, I could have seen if it was like one of the older shirts because we stuck with the original logo for a long time, which is the lion, but it had stars in it. We just now went to the splatter version, which is this version. Oh, I'm sorry. Nope, that's the stars one. The splatter version is on a different shirt that has like the stars are all splattered like paint. So to see that it was the splatter version also gave me like some like, wow, really? Because I just came out with those in like the last year and a half. So I'm just blessed. You know what I mean? You put good energy out into the universe is going to take care of you. Sales boosted. I'm very appreciative for that. And just as the story goes, we just keep going.
So how do they buy your shirt? Where do they go for that?
Yes, you can go to iamstillill.com, same as the back here. Or you can visit that at symbol right there at I Am Still Ill. And you can see all of my stuff on my Instagram and on my social media. And it's actually interesting because the deeper we got into it, so there was my logo was a lion. I like the lion because I believe in the pride, but I also some people have a false perception of lions, and actually some of the strongest members in the group of lions are the women. Female lions are naturally the hunters. They're the, provider. They do a lot. You know what I mean? Even though the male might be here, like, oh, I'm here, my big mane, whatever, and I'm a protector, whatever. I like the strength that they had in their women and their cubs. But, as time went on, Pride Alliance, Black Pride, Gay Pride. So we actually opened up a new collection recently to make it very apparent that we are a supporter of the community, especially when I had some people judging me about some of the friendships and relationships that I was making from my old life that need to understand we're moving in a new direction. So we actually have a Pride Life collection on there that is for the community. It's a unique design that we did with the rainbow splatter. That's pretty cool. So you might want to check that out. And just, at I Am Still Ill, or you can go to IamStillIll.com and check out our gear. You know what I mean? Again, we're just a small business. I'm just a guy who's trying to change myself while changing the world.
Cool.
So Tracy, we are almost out of time. Do you have anything that you want to add to the show?
Let me check. Now, just that next week, we actually have comedian Mimi Gonzalez on the show. So I'm definitely excited to see Mimi. We usually see her in P-Town. Lesbian Nightlife did a thing up north. So she's a local comedian when she's here, but she's usually all around the country touring and doing her thing.
Yes. Peter, thank you for being with us. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing tonight?
First and foremost, we need more love and empathy in the world. We have to have a whole lot more love and empathy for one another, more understanding. We have to have these tough conversations. It's imperative that we have these tough It does not happen in the rooms of the people that have like minds. It happens when unlike minds come together respectfully and find a solution for us all. This Friday, July 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. Please check us out at thirdeyeunlimited.org, or you can hit us up on Facebook. We're going to have a live event going down. This is the Your New Bedford initiative. And if you want to get down and try to get down with the Third Eye team at all, you can hit us up at info@thirdeyeunlimited.org to volunteer, whatever you want to do. And most importantly, love each other, man. We have to love each other more. And last but not least, shout out to the young women, Monique, the Sierras, the Linneas, all these young women, young men, Marcus, Christian, all these people in the community that are young people that have pushed the pendulum so far that we might actually have a true shift for all of us, not just in our own individual bubbles and community, but as a society as a whole. Thank you so much for being my heroes as young people.
Thank you, Peter.
I just wanted to say, Tracy mentioned that Mimi is on our show on the 21st next week, but also on the 23rd, she is doing a comedy show for us. So keep your eyes open for that post. It's a free event. Everyone is welcome. There will be a registration only to monitor who enters the room. We want it to be a safe space for all. So look for that registration event coming up, and keep your eyes and ears open for the collaboration I'm doing with Jeff Costa on meditation. That will have a grab and go dinner and also gift cards. So please look for that. And I think that is all we have. So we will see you next week with Mimi Gonzalez. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you again, Peter.
Love.
Bye, community.